Picture the biggest, most advanced civilization of the Bronze Age. Bigger than Egypt, bigger than Mesopotamia, bigger than both of them combined actually. Cities with private bathrooms, underground sewers, and streets so perfectly gridded they'd make a city planner weep. 4,000 years before, city planner was a job. Now, name it. Yeah, didn't think so. Nobody does. Welcome to the Indus Valley Civilization, the biggest ancient superpower you've never heard of, and the one modern archaeology still can't fully explain. Here's the deal. This civilization left behind thousands of written seals, and in the last 100 years, over 100 professional linguists, codebreakers, and computer scientists have tried to read a single one. Every attempt has failed, and it gets weirder. At some point around 4,000 years ago, up to 5 million people just stopped. Cities emptied out, no burned ruins, no mass graves, no obvious villain, just quiet. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know why cracking this code might be the hardest cryptography problem in human history, and what brand new science, published only weeks ago, thinks it finally figured out about why this entire civilization disappeared. Let's rewind. For most of modern history, nobody knew this civilization existed. Not a myth, not a rumor, nothing. Egypt had pyramids everyone could point at. Mesopotamia had clay tablets. The Indus Valley had silence, buried under a few thousand years of dirt. Then in the 1920s, archaeologists started digging into two mounds in what's now Pakistan, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. What they found didn't just add a new civilization to the history books. It rewrote the opening chapter. At its peak, this civilization covered over 1 million square kilometers, stretching from Afghanistan into northwest India. That's more ground than Egypt and Mesopotamia covered, combined. Somewhere between 4 and 6 million people lived here, more people than Egypt and Mesopotamia had put together, and they were suspiciously advanced. Cities laid out on grids, actual city blocks. Centuries before, that was a concept anywhere else on Earth. Houses had private bathrooms wired into covered underground drains running beneath the streets. Mohenjo-daro even had a massive public bathing structure, now called the Great Bath, sealed watertight with tar. Rome wouldn't build sewers this good for another 2,000 years. Rome gets the history class glow up. The Indus Valley gets a shrug. Here's what really throws historians though. No palaces, no giant statues of god kings, no throne room anywhere. Every other early civilization we know, Egypt, Mesopotamia, China, worshipped a ruler you could point to. The Indus Valley just didn't seem to have one, or if they did, they were remarkably humble about it. Which brings us to mystery number 1, the writing. We found the Indus script on roughly 3,500 to 4,000 seals, using over 400 unique symbols. Problem is, cracking a dead script usually needs one of two things: a bilingual inscription, a Rosetta Stone, where the same message shows up in a language we already know, or a huge volume of long text to run statistics on. The Indus Valley gives us neither. Despite direct trade with Mesopotamia, their seals have literally been dug up over there. Nobody has ever found a single dual language inscription, and the texts themselves are painfully short. Most are about 5 symbols. The longest ever found is under 20. Imagine learning an entire unknown language from nothing but shop receipts. That's the job. Over 100 attempted decipherments, from Victorian scholars to modern AI pattern recognition, and right now, the honest answer is, we still can't read a single Indus Valley sentence. Mystery number 2 is bigger. What actually happened to them? For most of the 20th century, the go-to answer was invasion. Some outside group swept in and wiped everyone out. That theory has mostly fallen apart. No mass graves, no burned cities, no weapon stockpiles. Whatever happened here, it wasn't an army. The newer picture is slower and honestly a little scarier. Researchers at IIT Gandhinagar published a study in late 2025 that rebuilt thousands of years of climate history using cave formations and lake sediment. What they found, this region was hit by 4 separate megadroughts, each lasting more than 85 years, longer than a human lifetime, between roughly 4,450 and 3,400 years ago. Some of them hit up to 90% of the entire Indus Basin at once. Rainfall dropped by up to a fifth. Temperatures crept up. Rivers like the Ghaggar Hakra, possibly the river later Vedic texts called the Sarasvati, shifted course entirely. The cities didn't collapse overnight. They faded. People drifted east toward the Ganges, chasing water that was still reliable, leaving the old grid-planned megacities to the sand. No war, no single doomsday event. just decades, then centuries of a world quietly running out of water and a civilization that held on through that stress far longer than you'd expect before it finally let go. So, what do we actually walk away with here? One, size and sophistication don't guarantee a place in the history books. This was the biggest urban civilization on Earth at the time, and most people have never heard its name purely because it can't speak for itself. Two, you can lose a civilization's voice completely, even with thousands of samples of it sitting in museums. Having their writing isn't the same as understanding it. The evidence is right there. The door's just locked. 3. And this one's the uncomfortable part. This wasn't a civilization ended by a single dramatic event. It was a slow bleed. Decades of drought stacked on decades of drought until a 5 million person civilization simply couldn't hold its shape anymore. That's not really an ancient history problem. That's a today problem, wearing ancient clothes. If you found this helpful, please hit the follow button and subscribe to the channel for more.